and welcome to Podpadstudios, last episode before Christmas 2022. And happy Christmas, everyone. We got all the robots out. We got doggy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, loads and loads of robots because we've been building them for 10 years. And that's a lot of robots. Anyway, just want to show you a little bit of footage from Wootton Bassett, their Christmas evening. It was absolutely brilliant. Take a look at this.
Right, so it was freezing cold there on that evening when we were out with the Batmobile at Wootton Bassett, and it's freezing cold here in the workshop. Well, it's freezing cold outside, and I keep looking outside, and I feel cold just looking outside. And as you can see, I've borrowed Mrs. Breaker's hat, and I'm just kind of getting all snuggled down. So anyway, right, so, yeah, so I had to say goodbye to an old friend, actually, the other day, which was quite sad. And that was my DX18. Now, I bought that years and years and years ago, and to be honest, I got it because it was just, well, the DX8 I had was rubbish, actually. Probably shouldn't say that, but it was. Got the DX18, used it on all the droids and robots. It was absolutely fantastic. However, the time came where I was going to build another robot. And the problem is that being so big and being so complicated, it needs a lot more channels and it needs a lot more like real-world puppetry control. And the DX18 just couldn't do it. I couldn't get what I needed to do from it. So unfortunately, the DX18 is gone, but it's gone to a better home. It's going to be used again now to fly aircraft and helicopters and all sorts of things, which is probably basically what it was designed to do in the first place. Now, I talked a little bit about this, and as you notice, I've added a few bits here. I've built a tray, a radio tray, for the FrSky X20S. Now, for those of you that don't know what a tray is, the difference being is that obviously for the droids and the robots, I can hold the radio because I'm kind of invisible. I'm standing in the background, I can control it with one hand, I can move them around, it's really, really easy. But with Tiffany, I'm kind of like, it's very, very important, given her weight and the complexity of the design and the movements, it doesn't matter whether I'm visible or not. So, of course, having a tray means I can sit it around my neck like this. Now I've got two free hands, which means I can do an awful lot more with all the controls. Also, I can stick on like all the peripheral controls for the sound and the guns. These are just kind of velcroed on. And it's easy for me to get to everything. I can literally move around a lot more, much easier. Now, the radio's been absolutely amazing. And phase 2, of course, which is what we are moving on to now with Tiffany, means I can show you a little bit more about what I've got planned and what I'm doing in terms of like the logic switches. Well, let's not make it too complicated. The computerized nature of this radio over a more analog radio, which was the DX kind of 18. I'm not saying it was a bad radio, it was an excellent radio. It's just that this can do things that it can't, which makes controlling this much easier. Now, in a sort of, perhaps in a film situation or in a live show situation, it would make more sense to probably have 4 or 5 people controlling this, because you allocate one person for the head movements, the guns, the movement, whatever. In the situation that we're going to be in phase 3, jumping ahead there, I have to control it. Which means I need the power, the computerization, if you like, of the radio. So really, that is why I've stuck with the X20S. Now, how have I got on with it now, given that I've had it a few months now, and obviously I've been working on Tiffany with phase 2. So, don't tell Mrs. Breaker, right? I sold the DX18 radio control system. Had it for years, really good. However, this is my original Sanwo 35 megahertz radio that I bought. I must have bought this over 30 years ago now. So I used this when I first started off doing work with puppetry, with models for film and TV and that kind of stuff. And that's what it was used for. It was never used to fly planes. It was a bit naughty at the time because I think at the time 35 megahertz was meant to be for aeroplanes. But to be honest, I wasn't anywhere near any aeroplanes, so I was never going to interfere with anybody. I was just using it to control puppets in a studio. But look, how cool is this? They don't make them like this anymore. Woohoo, look at that. It's really, really good. And it's really, really funny when you see it. So obviously, as I said, don't tell Mrs. Breaker because I'm not selling this one. When you look at it in comparison to the X20, it still looks cool, doesn't it? Anyway, yeah. So, right, where are we at with this radio? So, I have been doing an awful lot of allocation and thinking about how I control different things. Went through loads of different phases of just whacking the controls onto different things and thinking, oh, that'll do and that'll do. But it's actually really difficult. But the one great thing that I found with this radio, and to be honest, you can do it with an awful lot of radios, is I can create different flight situations. Now, I say flight situations because I think that's the term that is used to describe different modes. So, for example, if I press a button, I can set all of these switches and all of these different pots to do different things. So, for example, in mode 1, this becomes the drive situation, and this will become the steering. And as you know, it steers on the rear track. If I switch the mode and I switch to another one, this same potentiometer now controls different aspects of the robot. So, for example, this might now control the lifts, lifting up and down the platform. This now controls the rotation of the body, and this would actually control the positioning of the guns. Now, I can then switch to another one and do the same thing. Now, you might think, oh, God, how's he going to remember all that? Well, this is another thing with this radio. I can put in audible warnings, so...
Armed, disarmed, armed, disarmed.
What that means is I know that if it's saying armed and disarmed, that's probably something to do with guns, which means it's in the mode that's going to control the guns moving in and out. So it's been brilliant in that respect. Now, I'm not going to go into details about how to create logic switches and how to create special functions, because there's you can comment below, you can message me, you can ask me how to do that, or there's loads of videos on YouTube of people actually going into details and doing all this stuff. What I'm saying is, don't dismiss it. Don't buy this radio on the basis that you're just going to use it, you know, like an analog radio. You've got to use all the stuff that it's got on it. Otherwise, you're better off perhaps with a different type of radio. So the logic switches, the special functions are absolutely outstanding on this. And when it comes to controlling a large puppet like this, one person controlling a large puppet like this, all of these functions are absolutely amazing because you can just switch between things so much quicker. Of course, the tray radio also makes it easier because I can now get to all the switches.
Active.
And of course,
active.
I can make it talk to me and do all sorts.
Armed, disarmed.
Do you like that one?
Armed, disarmed.
Anyway, so there we have it. Sort of talk about evolution in radio control systems. I mean, doesn't get much better than that, does it?
Yeah, I remember the day, Canine, when you dropped your ear and it nearly fell down a drain. And I remember that. And Emmy, I just remember all your dancing this year at Weymouth. That was just so cool. I know you'll get out soon, Tiffany. Promise you will. Oh, hi guys. Just got to say goodbye. Thanks for all your support this year. Don't forget to hit the bell, ding, and give us a little subscribe if you haven't already. Happy Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2023. Bye.